Well, good afternoon, folks. Welcome aboard my Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus. You may have been noticing lately on YouTube, depending on your algorithm, of course, that a lot of people are showing off full self-driving on their cars, their Teslas. And if you didn't know, basically Tesla's been pushing out a lot of free trials to many of its drivers as an obvious way to boost sales. And so a lot of people are taking that opportunity to show it off and what it can and can't do. And I have to admit myself, up until I had the chance to try this, Tesla gave me my free trial basically 2 days ago. And up until about that point, there was no way I would have purchased full self-driving. I think it was going for $4,000 when I bought this car, and eventually it made it up to $10,000 or $12,000 if memory serves. But this is by the way, this is a 2019 Tesla Model 3 with 204,072 miles. So definitely getting up there, but it still runs great. Besides tires, window washer fluid, I've had the compressor go out around 100,000 miles, and I've also had the trunk stop opening around 180,000, which was covered under warranty. But back to full self-driving, I saw it more as kind of a gimmicky thing. It was cool. Don't get me wrong. I love technology. I'm an IT worker. Everything else. My house is all decked out with tech. But it just, even when they got it down to $199 a month and then finally $99 a month, it was still too expensive. There was no way I was going to buy this or use it, or especially with the inflation, everything else that's going on, the economy, budget crunch. I don't need another $100 bill a month. That could go to something else I want to do. But after trying it, I got to be honest with you guys, it's really excellent. It really did kind of blow me away a little bit at how far it's come, how good it's gotten. Now, I've always had Autopilot for the longest time. I bought that with the car, and that's obviously stays in the lane, paces itself with the car in front of you, and that always got me by wherever I needed to go, cross-country trips, whether that's Utah, Colorado, Arizona, or just commuting to work. My commute is about it's about 120 to 130 miles a day. So I'm definitely always in the car, always driving, and always using Autopilot. So when they did finally push down full self-driving for me to try, again, I got to tell you, I was actually pretty impressed with how good it's gotten. One big issue with full self-driving is basically the markings on the road. I've always thought, if it's faded or it doesn't see markings, what's going to happen? What's going to happen in construction zones? It's really, from my experience so far, it's gotten well beyond, those small little issues, such as where I live in Wrightwood, as you'll see at the end of this video. The roads aren't marked in a lot of places. It's just a stretch of pavement, or asphalt in this case. And the Tesla is going to have to figure out on its own, how to stay on the right side of that, how to avoid cars that are parked, trash cans, kids that are jumping out and playing. And you're going to see some of that it has. It's advanced to a point where it can drive. Literally, you get out of your car, you get in the car, you put the address, and it can take you all the way to your work, with the exception of in some cases not finding an actual parking spot to pull you in. But it'll take you from point A to point B, no input from you other than you obviously moving the steering wheel to show that you are awake and you are paying attention. At least in the infancy of Autopilot and full self-driving at this point. So let's get on with it here. I wanted to show you my complete drive home from work, all the way to my town of Wrightwood. There's no filming where I work, so you can already guess where I work, but we're starting the drive here in the middle of the Mojave Desert in northeast Lancaster, California. I'll be letting the car perform the entire drive, and if I do take over for any reason, whether that's steering wheel, I turn it off, or whether I press the pedal for any reason, I will let you guys know. But besides that, and the steering wheel nag, to make sure I'm paying attention, the car will be driving us all by itself the entire time, all the way home. Well, more specifically, we're going to the country club in Wrightwood. You know, I value my privacy a little, so I don't want to necessarily drive straight home and show you where I live. But you know, you guys do know I live in Wrightwood, as I've mentioned, and we'll be going straight to the country club, which is a few miles from where I'm at. I will be speeding up the video in between events and chatting on the drive in between the speed ups, just so we can kind of get through this, and just otherwise you'll be sitting here for an hour with me in the car just watching the road go by. That can get pretty boring, I know, but enjoy this largely unedited video. And if you have any questions on this, you know, hit me up in the comments, let me know. So as you can see here, full self-driving is enabled, single pull. I'm going to go ahead and put full self-driving profile as average, and lane change notification chimes only. We're going to try to minimize that as well and expand the full self-driving visualization so you can see the computer doing its job here. Other than that, there's the rest of my settings. Let's get on our way. So I do have Wrightwood Country Club as the address already set in. As you can see, we're, I don't know, maybe about 15% of the way there. So all I'm going to do here for the car is I'm going to press once, to put it into drive, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it into autopilot, or excuse me, not autopilot, full self-driving. And the car is going to do everything else on its own. It's been a long day though, so I'm pretty tired, but now I will have my hand just kind of barely touching the steering wheel, just so the car, I can, you know, can be acknowledged that I am in control of the car. So if at any point I do need to take over, we'll do that. But right now it's doing the speed limit, 55. If there's any issues or any quirks with the full self-driving here, I'll let you guys know, and you'll be able to see it as well, of course. So right now we're coming up to our first stop sign. See how the car performs. We should be making a left. If it's following my typical commute, which it is, good. So it throws the blinker on, and now one thing I don't necessarily, this is probably my biggest pet peeve with the I keep calling it autopilot, with full self-driving, is basically it starts to slow down really kind of far back. And not only that, but you'll see it probably, this is probably not the best example, you'll see it at the next stop sign, but it takes a long time for the car to kind of pull up, you know, use the cameras and the system to kind of look around. Is it safe to pull out? Can I go? And in California especially, I'm sure it's the same in wherever you guys live, but people do not really stop at stop signs. They do what's kind of called a rolling stop. Here's another issue, sorry to interrupt that train of thought, but for some reason it thinks that the speed limit here is 25 miles per hour, and it's not. It's definitely 55. So fortunately, even though it's pretty annoying to have to kind of constantly adjust the speed, you're going to see that more than once, but fortunately I can change it to 55 miles per hour, and we can go back to the speed we're supposed to be at. But like I was saying, pulling up the stop signs and actually making the turn is, for most people, we, you know, admit it, I'll admit it, you know, I don't always stop at the stop sign completely and look both ways before pulling out. You know, usually I'm kind of slowing down, looking to my left, looking to my right, is it clear? It's, yeah, nobody's coming. And then just kind of, you know, slowing down pretty, you know, almost to a stop, but kind of rolling through it and keep going. We all do it. You know, nobody's Mother Teresa here on this. But unfortunately, since our culture, basically our car culture, is so ingrained to do that, a lot of people get frustrated with with me, basically, when I have full self-driving on, and they were like, what are you doing? It's almost like you're having a road rage incident with somebody. You know, I could even look back behind me in the mirror, and you know, people like throwing their hands up, like, what are you doing? We're so attuned to not actually following the law anymore, and it's so largely unenforced in a lot of ways that Tesla, obviously, they can't program software to break the law. You know, that's not gonna work. So here's something in the road here. Looks like a piece of tire. Yep, just decided to run right through it. Looks like just a small piece of tire. Fortunately, if it was anything else, like a log or a plywood or something like that, I would have went around. I would have took over. But Tesla's still in control. Decided to run over that small piece of whatever it was. So we're approaching our next stop sign. Again, I'm going to let the car do everything on its own. You can see it starts to slow down. Once it detects the stop sign up ahead. And let's see how long it takes to actually make its turn. So it's going to look both ways. Now, sitting at home, you might think that's not that slow. It's kind of fast. Well, you know, I don't know if the way people drive out here, especially in Southern California, people actually get angry if you stop for that long while they're sitting behind you. I've had it happen multiple times. But anyways, we're well on our way. So far, you can see so good. Haven't had to do anything yet. It's having a little trouble seeing over the hill here. So even though the speed limit is set to 55 on the car, as you can see, we're doing 38. That's a little unsure of itself, I think. At least that's my thesis. As you can see right here, it still wants me to take control and actually, you know, move the steering wheel to let it know, hey, I'm here. So that part's still enabled. Let's see what happens once we get over the hill. My guess from my previous experience is it's going to speed up. There it goes. And we're going to skip to 55. Now, this is the full self-driving screen. You can actually go back to the original screen here if you want to actually see the map and your drive and everything else. And this is actually something else that's kind of a little small, more of a first world problem, so to speak, but a little issue here. This is actually not quite oh, you know what? On second thought, what it had me do yesterday was come this way and then come back around because it thought this road was closed. And you see that as well? That is, you saw how I was messing with the map? Well, one thing you have to do on the car is actually enable the camera. I actually had this little black dot on the camera because I'm kind of I kind of like my privacy to some degree. And I don't necessarily want anyone at Tesla HQ watching me drive or anything like that. Not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. But you can see how that could be abused in some ways. So if I don't pay attention, I start looking over here, doing other things, the camera, which is right here, will actually see me and will give me a little nasty gram there. Hey, you know, pay attention, you idiot. So we're coming up to the turn. Let's see how it performs. There is a car coming. Let's see if it decides to cut in front of him, or looks like he's far enough away where we might be able to do that. Oh, he's going to turn anyways. So here we go. All right, so making our turn here on Avenue G. By the way, if you've never been out this far, out in northeast Lancaster, if you guys ever seen Kill Bill, the beginning of the movie where she's getting married at the church and Bill comes and basically kills everybody, that church is just down this road. If you ever get a chance to get out here and see it, it's pretty cool. You can't really go in. It's, you know, it's private property. They got 4 filming signs up and all that. But again, here we are going 25 miles per hour. So again, little annoyances with the car, but nothing. It's not doing anything egregious or bad where I have to really take over. But I do have to kind of speed it back up because for some reason it defaults to 25 miles per hour if it doesn't see a speed limit sign. So we're gonna go back to 55 because there's a car approaching behind me. He's probably gonna pass me. Wondering what the hell I'm doing. Wham. especially when we get up to 138, you know, halfway through this trip, you might see people really driving really aggressively. People really do drive, you know, 10, 20, 30 plus miles over the limit out here in the desert. It really is kind of the Wild West to some degree. So I'm going to turn up that AC because it is 92 out here. Definitely heating up out in the Mojave Desert. Fun fact up here too, about 3 days ago I was driving down this road and I actually saw a desert tortoise on the road, kind of on the side, but he was still trying to like cross over onto the road. So I did stop and I did basically pick him up as gently as I could and tried to point him in the right direction where he was headed, which was across the street. So that was my little good deed for the week. Hope he went on his way and he's okay. But anyways, so far so good, right? No issues. I haven't had to do anything. Now, this is obviously, there's been a lot of videos on YouTube with people doing city driving. And obviously that's far more complicated in these rural roads. But I did want to do a rural driving video because I didn't see too many of them on there, just to show you how it works. You know, maybe out in the country as well. Especially on these rural roads, a lot of times there is obstacles or roads are closed or they don't maintain them as well, so the markings aren't often always there, and the car is going to have to figure out on its own, you know, how it's going to contend with that. You know, before I fully decide whether I'm actually going to buy full self-driving or just let the trial expire, I may go do a downtown LA drive or something. We'll see how it contends with the craziness that is LA and how people drive down there. Now normally on autopilot, you know, this is basically what it would do. It would just stay in the lane. It would go whatever speed you had it at, you know, with exceptions of course. And once I got to a stop sign or some other kind of construction zone or something like that, I would have to disengage it. It was basically like a really infantile full self-driving, nowhere near the capabilities. It panicked on certain things. When roads started to merge, it kind of did a little swerve back and forth thing, like where do I go? I don't know, but full self-driving has not had any of these issues, at least not for me. And we'll see some of that on this drive. All the work they put into this, all the data they've collected from all the cars using full self-driving, it's really paying off. Obviously, we're not quite there yet where, this is where I rescued the tortoise, by the way. He was trying to cross the wash to the other side. So he's probably over there somewhere. I hope he's doing well. But, yeah, it's paying off. You know, we're getting to the point where you are going to be able to just get in the car, put the address, and one day, really, literally just take a nap or play a video game or watch a movie and drive to work. It is going to come one day. I wasn't a believer until I saw the progress on full self-driving myself. But this, you know, my humble opinion, this is fantastic. How far we've come with this. Now, when I had autopilot, it worked really well, especially on freeways and such. But I live in the mountains, and when I would go the back way home, and there's some really, you know, if you're driving the back way up the right wood, there's some really sharp turns, some really interesting roads that go up that way, and we'd get to the point where we'd be doing like a really sharp, almost like a U-turn kind of sharp road, you know, on a cliff, and the car would start to try to attempt it. You know, we're talking 2019 when I first bought this car, but it would at first attempt to start it, and then next thing you know, it'd be moving into like the other lane and stuck in the middle, and it would just freak out and beep at you. You take over immediately, like, I don't know what to do. You know, up into even just a few years ago, with all the constant updates and everything else, it actually figured out you know, how to actually stay in the lane and do that on autopilot. And full self-driving, you know, is just miles above that. My car has always had full self-driving capability. It's always had the hardware. All it took was a software update to give me the ability to drive full self-driving. So basically all newer, you know, Tesla models, they have the hardware capable of doing this. You just gotta pay. You gotta pay the man. You gotta pay Elon Musk for the privilege. But you know, I gotta tell you, I really am fairly impressed with this. Now I haven't tried it really on major city roads yet, like, you know, LA or Riverside or places like that. But we're definitely gonna try that before this trial ends up, before I decide whether I'm gonna keep it or not. Oh, here's the Kill Bill Church, by the way, right here. Okay, so we're slowing down. Now there's no stop sign here, so it's not gonna stop, I assume. It's gonna make the turn, and we're gonna keep going. See, I'm kind of pushing the limit a little bit today. We're supposed to have 4% battery when we get to the country club, so definitely didn't charge up as much as I should have probably today. Well, I guess what we're doing, I said I was going to speed this up, but you know, if I run out of things to talk about, I will. I'll just speed up the video and we'll just keep cruising. I want to talk about some of the cartel activity that used to be out here even just a few years ago. And yes, you heard that right, cartel activity. Starting around 2019, 2020, California basically was on a, you know, they had already pushed a lot of criminal justice reform policies. And I'm not here to argue the politics on either side of that. You know, that's not what this video is for by any stretch. But basically, they turned marijuana farming from a felony to a misdemeanor. And they tried to legalize it. But what ended up happening is people started farming their own marijuana because, you know, misdemeanor is not hardly a consequence. That's a site release or, you know, a couple hours in jail with a court date 6 to 9 months out. So what happened out here, and specifically in this area, all around Barstow, or not Barstow specifically, but more so West Adelanto and Northeast Lancaster, is all these marijuana farms started popping up. And what happened was the cartels, specifically Sinaloa cartel, started to move in and started taking control of a lot of that stuff. A lot of the people that they helped get across the border, they couldn't pay their bills, so they forced them to work on the farms for, you know, basically to pay back their debt, you know, for free. And it got a little crazy out here. There was incidents where police were rolling up into, you know, areas, you know, just on patrol or responding to a call at a house, and they crossed over into one of the farms and they started shooting at them before they recognized they were actually police. There was incidents where dirt bikers would get intimidated. I can tell you some of my own personal experiences, but I think I won't on this video, of interacting with some of these people, both by accident and on purpose. But they were out here, they were controlling the marijuana farms and all the horrible things that have happened, you know, including that mass killing that happened over in rural Adelanto that San Bernardino County Sheriff was investigating. I only bring that up just to talk about how it's kind of changed out here. Something changed, and I haven't actually been following it that closely, but a lot of those marijuana farms that were cartel controlled, or just marijuana farms period, have essentially disappeared, you know, over the course of a couple months. So it thinks it's safe to move, and it looks like that's the case. no traffic on either side. But everywhere you would look out in the desert, like out that way or out that way, you would see basically the greenhouses that were built up with tarp. And as a way they tried to hide them. You could tell if there was one there because they would build up a berm, or they would put a wooden fence with plywood all around it. And if you saw that, you knew what was behind there. But the Sheriff's Department, LA County, San Bernardino County have done a great job of clearing some of that stuff out. And somehow, I don't know what happened to all of them. Maybe if you know, maybe you could comment in the comments. I used to be really well versed and kept up on what was going on with that, but they largely disappeared. You can still see, if you look out in the distance on drives, you'll still see the remnants of some of these farms, because all they did was, they left them to basically rot out in the desert all over the place. So they're still there technically, but no one's there, no one's farming them. So maybe it wasn't profitable anymore. Maybe the law became too interested and it became too much of a burden. Or maybe it was actually enforced, behind the scenes. I don't know. But so far so good. We're just under halfway to our destination of Wrightwood Country Club up in the mountains. So this is definitely kind of a longer stretch here. So I think what I will do is go ahead and speed up the video, and I'll see you at the stop sign where we make a right turn up ahead. Here we are coming up to our next turn. No stop sign here. I was mistaken. There's a stop sign on the cross street. And so far so good. I'll speed it up to that hill way out in the distance. So we'll see you there. Alright, we're approaching that hill that we saw way out in the distance there. I'm kind of curious what it's going to do because the vision is limited until... Okay, I did stop full self-driving, and had nothing to do with the car or anything that happened. What ended up happening was my GoPro overheated because I forgot to put the air conditioning on it. These little GoPros, they always overheat. I now have the AC on full and on the GoPro, so hopefully we'll be able to get through the rest of this drive without any more issues. But yeah, so basically after the GoPro stopped, I went ahead and just turned it off, full self-driving, pulled over. I actually want to show you guys one more cool thing too. What happens when you disengage full self-driving. So if I engage it and then I take it off, you'll get this little notification here: Autopilot disengaged. What happened? And you can actually press the button here and leave a message that goes directly to Tesla. So, I mean, after all the layouts, I don't know how many people they got left to take the message, but long story short, something happens, it does something it's not supposed to do, or, you know, or there's a little issue like back there with the speed limit saying 25 instead of 50, or you know, just it does something quirky or annoying or even downright dangerous. You can actually leave a message and send that immediately to Tesla for them to investigate further what happened. So I got a car coming. I'm going to go ahead and put on, I'm going to try to put on full self-driving here. Let's go to stop here. Well, it's not letting me do it. So, I'm not sure why. Well, for some reason it won't engage and get on the road. I bet it works now though. It's a little confused by the dirt road and the paved road here. In fact, you even saw a little yellow line there, like there was a yellow line. Maybe it was mistaking for a, you know, you can't for another lane that you're not supposed to be in. So we're doing 32, as I was mentioning earlier in the video. You can't really see over the horizon here, so it's really cautious. And if you had people behind you, especially a trucker or something, you know, they'd be flashing you and yanking on the horn and everything. You know, I've seen it. But once it gets over the hill, it should, I think, speed up. Only one way to find out. Gets a little more confident and starts to move. Slowly but surely, I guess. We'll see what it does. As mentioned, I'm gonna let the car do completely its own thing, and we're gonna watch it. There we go. Start going downhill, you start to see the rest of the road, and it speeds right back to 55. As you can see, doing 55 in California is a moral sin. Everybody will pass you up, everybody will ride your bumper, everybody will honk at you and flash their lights at you. And I'm not just doing 55 for the video, just a virtue signal. Look, I didn't speed limit, don't you? No, you know, we all speed. But I'm doing 55 because I have a long commute. I only have a standard range plus, and I have to kind of stretch out the battery just a little bit by doing the speed limit. The max I will do is maybe 5, and in some rare cases maybe 10 over the limit when I'm driving to work. Now, if I'm just driving to the store or something, yeah, I'm going to be doing, you know, 10, maybe 15 over. I don't know what statute of limitations are on speeding, but there it is. So, you know, I'll ask you bring a warrant if you come to my house. But, so now we're on our way towards El Mirage, and there's going to be a turn up here, and we'll see how it performs on that one. A lot of abandoned cars out in the desert too. That car's been sitting there for about 2 weeks. Makes you wonder, huh? Why? Alright, so there is a car coming, and he's making a right turn. We're making a left, so we're both gonna see what the Tesla does here. Looks like it's gonna yield to him, as it should. And there we go, now it's our turn. And now we're on our way into El Mirage. Tesla does think the speed limit here is 50. It is actually 55 as well. But for some reason it does think that. I will go ahead and throw it up to 55. El Mirage actually has a really cool dry lake bed. And if you're interested, going down there and you know, ATVs or UTVs, side-by-sides, or just model airplanes, all that stuff, it's got a really cool little lake bed to do a lot of that stuff on. And it is a Bureau of Land Management, so you can actually go on it. I do believe there is a fee to access the dry lake bed. Don't know why. It's Bureau of Land Management, it's our land, but they do charge, I believe. I'm sure there's other ways to get on there without paying the fee, but if you want to do it properly, and I do, you know, you pay the fee and you go onto the lake bed to recreate, I guess. And in the winter, when we get our winter rains, it does fill up, so it does become kind of like a mini lake. It's only like maximum a foot deep, but it still does kind of look cool out in the desert. So I will speed this up, and I'll see you at the next event, whatever the Tesla decides to do. And of course, if Tesla does something wrong or crazy or dangerous, we'll be here to watch it. But so far, the car is doing it all on its own. It's taking me from work to home, all by itself. All right, we'll see you there. We got some signs here, including one that says 25 miles per hour because of a school zone. When children are present. So let's see what happens. Plus there's some split offs on the road here, left and right. So it's going to go ahead and I guess, not see any children and keep going 55. And it's going to stay right in that center lane. Now, I will tell you, with Autopilot, it does get a little confused sometimes. It will kind of sometimes hesitate, like, does it want to make an actual right turn? Does it want to get in that lane? Or does it want to keep going straight? So, full self-driving, none of those issues with lane changes or merges or right turn lanes, left turning lanes. I'd be curious to see how it works in a roundabout. There is one a couple in Lancaster. I guess I could probably see that, but or I guess maybe Palmdale's where that's at. But yeah, so far so good. Also apologize, I didn't wash the car or get it detailed, you know, before my YouTube video, like some of these, you know, social media influencers do. When I record, I show you the nitty gritty, the true car of the hard-working middle-class man. So, you know, I washed this thing 2 days ago. I went through a wash, and it's already, you know, that's how the desert works. So, especially with a black car, it's not too kind to keeping it clean. So maximum, I will wash this car once a week, maybe, max. And often, sometimes even once a month, just because it's so pointless. So, that little fox that's kind of hanging out on my dash there, I'll tell you a quick story on him. I picked that guy up, I was in the Marine Corps, and I picked him up in Iraq, Camp Fallujah, basically Fallujah, Iraq. And basically there was a care package that came in. There was constantly care packages coming in, not just from family and friends, but from churches or, you know, organizations, military support groups, all kinds of stuff. So a big box came in full of all kinds of stuff. We're talking candy and cigarettes and all kinds of cool stuff in there. And the only thing left over when I finally got around to checking in the box was this little Beanie Baby fox. So I took it and stayed with me, you know, my little, you know, he was kind of like a little, like, it was kind of like that scene from Oliver and Company where he's the last kitten in the box that nobody wanted. So I took a little pity on him, you know, in a little moment of emotion and the brutality of that war on terror, and took him with me home, you know, flew him back, and he was in my house for a little while, and eventually I put him in the car, and he's been in every car that I've ever owned, and he sat on the dash and traveled with me everywhere across the US and different countries as well. I'll tell you more about that in just a second here, but we're making a right turn. Again, no stop sign here. So we're going to make a right here. This is Sheep Creek Road, and we're going to be traveling to Phelan, where there is some stop sign, or not some stop signs, where there are some traffic lights. So we'll see how it performs there. All right, speeding up. 55. Back on the Beanie Baby Fox guy here. So wherever my very first car he was basically sat in the same spot up here on the dash. So wherever I have traveled, this Beanie Baby Fox has traveled with me. And I have been, you know, you saw how many miles this car has. All my cars have had basically 200,000 to 300,000 miles on it before I switched them out or traded them in. So I travel a lot, not just for work, but for fun. I love road trips. Road trips are one of my true passions in life. And they're even more pleasurable in the Tesla, I have to say. But so I've taken this little Fox with me on, you know, everywhere from, you know, anywhere in the Southwest. We're talking Grand Canyon, San Francisco. I've taken them to Canada and back, Yellowstone and back. I've driven cross country to the East Coast and back, Colorado, just everywhere. Wherever I have gone in a car, this little guy's been with me. So that's the story on the Fox there. But 2008 is when I picked them up out of a box at Camp Mogul hung out with me ever since. So definitely at this point a little sentimental value. And as time goes on and we you know, we both get a little older, I guess, I start to get a little more cautious about making sure he doesn't get stolen or or anything like that. So, you know, if I'm going up to San Francisco and I'm going to park the car somewhere outside, you know, good chance the car's gonna be broken into up there. So I'll actually take him with me into a hotel or something. Same thing, if I get my tires changed or something like that, you know, I'll probably grab them and take them with me, put them in my pocket, because I just don't want to risk it. I want to see how far we can get. Maybe I'll be buried with them, I don't know. And maybe my long lost ancestors way down the line will watch this video and see the fox, what happened to him and why it was, you know, why he's still with me. But anyways, this is a long stretch. We're going to travel up into Phelan, California now. So there is a traffic light coming up here, probably in about a good, I don't know, 6 or 7 miles. So I'll speed up the video and we'll see you at the traffic light. We'll see how it does. traffic light here, which is across of Phelan, actually not Phelan Road, it's across of Sheep Creek and Highway 18, also known as Palmdale Road. So just turned yellow, red, and every confidence the car is going to stop on its own. So really kind of cautious, kind of creeps up to the line there, but it does it. Green, not doing anything. It's handling it all on its own. So first traffic light was a success. We've got 2 more to go through. Now Phelan is where I grew up from age about 11 to 18. So this really is where I grew up, and a lot of sentimental value here, a lot of memories. It used to be much more sparse than this. I would say it's grown 2 to 3 times what it was when I first came here. I mean, like, your big event of the day was going to, you know, to town. Or if you're going to go to Victorville, that was kind of like you see in The Patriot, where they're all excited because they're going to go to Charlestown. You know, they live on the farm. That's kind of what it was like. Going to Victorville was like going to the mall, or going out there, going to Best Buy, or Funko Land, or even Toys R Us. God rest its soul. But you know, every day I would walk home in the summer heat. It would get, you know, up to 118, 120 out here sometimes. Walking home, and I would look up at the mountains, and I just wished I could live up there so bad. It was so much cooler and nicer, and pine trees to shade you, and eventually I made that dream come true, and I bought a house in Raywood. Very happy where I'm at. I'm gonna cross some train tracks now. Let's watch Tesla do its thing. No issues there. There is a stop sign coming up, which is crossing across of Duncan Road and Sheep Creek Road, which we're on, Sheep Creek. So we haven't had a stop sign in a while. Let's see how it does it. This stop sign always has traffic at it, trying to cross one way or the other, or make a left turn, or vice versa. So let's see how it performs. So pretty cautious. Maybe it sees a lot of the cars that are hanging around. It's hoping nobody pulls out. And this, I guess there's no cars crossing, but yeah, standard taxi. I don't know why I said standard taxi. I'm tired. Standard stop sign crossing there. And besides slowing down a little bit because there was people parked and cars and people walking around, you know, having a little side of the road food vendor. Yeah, no issues. Now, one thing Autopilot used to do was disengage up here and have me take over every single time. There's a wash that you kind of drive down into and up out of, and it's kind of a steep little road, so the cameras kind of lose track of what's in front of it for a split second, and it would always demand I take over on Autopilot. So let's see what happens with full self-driving, if it's going to actually do that or not. Based on what I've seen so far, I'm gonna guess no. I'm gonna guess it's gonna keep going, but we'll see. So this isn't it. This is it right here. This little dip here, and no problems. So I think they're going to get a little more complicated as we approach Phelan, which is kind of, it's the biggest little town for miles around. Got a grocery store, McDonald's, you know, all the staples you need in a small little town. Everything except the Walmart. So let's see how it makes the right turn. And I assume it's gonna try to go make a right turn, go to Beakley, and that's correct. So, correction here. We got 3 more traffic lights to get through, and they're all in short order. So let's see how the car does. And it's getting cold in the car, I gotta tell you. I got the AC on full, but it's the only way I'm gonna be able to keep the camera cold enough to actually record here, because I'm not recording it, you know, 480p or anything. So the markings on the road are faded a little bit. Let's see what it does here. It's going to turn on the blinker. We're going to get into the far right lane, and there's a turn lane up here. That truck coming, but it's actually making a turn. Just didn't put his blinker on. You can't see that, it was to the left. So it stopped a little bit, hesitated, but it kept going. It sees that this car is going a little too slow, so it was going to try to pass it up, but that didn't work out. So that's the first time I've seen the Tesla actually try to pass up a car. Speed a little bit here, but I've got cars behind me, so I don't want to kick people off too much. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking, you know, these are country roads, there's not a lot going on. Not a lot of cars, not a lot of people, not a lot of obstacles, not a lot of, it's not really dynamic like it would be if you were, let's say, driving in downtown LA. And hopefully you never have to do that in rush hour, because that's like a special layer of hell in itself. But I do notice here, I did cross over the double yellow to get into the left turn lane there. So that's kind of interesting. It's done pretty good though with obstacle avoidance that I've seen so far, not just on this drive, but many other drives. So I'm assuming if a car was coming, it would kind of move over and get out of the way. I actually have seen it where trucks or other cars are kind of driving down the road and kind of getting into your lane as they're about to pass you in the opposite direction, and the Tesla actually does move over to kind of give it space, even into the white line here. So definitely a cool feature, because on Autopilot, if that happens, basically the car will start to beep and alert you, hey, you know, you get ready to take over because there could be a head-on collision here or something. And I actually have seen Autopilot disengage. The car does that. And it will start to move over, but the full self-driving will actually move over and still maintain control of what's going on. So we're coming up to our last traffic light. Can't wait to get home. I am hungry, let me tell you. Plus I gotta upload this video and get it edited. Okay, slowing down a little, but still doing good. Now it's got to decide, there's 2 left turn lanes here. Looks like it's going to choose the far left one. And the light turned green. It's going to roll through. It's going to cross over that double yellow a little bit, but I don't know. I'm still pretty impressed overall with how this is performing so far. Now, up ahead, it does need to get into the right lane. In fact, let me just show you how you can manually tell it to get into turn into the right lane. Excuse me, not the right lane. Again, I'm tired. Sorry, guys. Fumbled my words a little bit. You can manually tell it to switch lanes into the far right side there. So, there's a car coming up behind me on the right. I am going to turn the blinker on. And I'm going to let it do its thing here and decide when it wants to move over. And there we go. So you can tell it to, if you want to change lanes, you don't want to be in the left lane, it will pass up cars that are going too slow. Like we saw an attempt over there down in Phelan. But anytime you want to get over, you just put the blinker on, and the car should perform that. It didn't do it that time, but now it is. I think it's hesitant. See, it went halfway, and I think the reason why is because we're about to make a right turn up ahead. So maybe it's trying to tell me, hey, you don't know what's good for you. Stay in your lane. Now this truck is really struggling up this hill here. Hope you guys are enjoying the change of scenery. This is why I live up here, not in the desert. But because I think the right turn lane is so close, it's going to probably stick it out, and we're just going to stay slow behind this truck here. So here we go. There's another light ahead, but we're not going to put up with that. We're right Woodians. We're going to make a right turn in our own little private lane here, up to the pines. Now the markings are kind of faded here a little bit, but at least on the right side. But as you can see, it knows where the curve is, and it handles that turn, that fairly sharp turn, pretty beautifully. Another issue with the speed is this sign here. So it sees that sign every day I drive it, and it thinks the speed limit here is 25 miles per hour. And that's because the sign stipulates that if you have chains on, the speed is 25 miles per hour. So here we are doing 25 miles per hour in a 55. Let me go ahead and speed this back up. It can't differentiate between the special circumstances of the speed limit sign and what the speed limit sign is trying to say, which is if you have chains on, because it does snow up here quite a bit, then max speed limit is 25 miles per hour, not 55. All right, we're kind of getting on the last part of the commute here. I'll go ahead and bump us up to 60. I know, big bad boy here. And let's see how it does. Now on this part right here, I wanted to mention, on Autopilot, frequently, I would say more than half the time, it gets confused. It tries to turn into that turn lane, which goes into a church parking lot. And full self-driving does not have those issues. So I guess Autopilot is not really thinking about, it's just trying to stay within the lane markers, and that's its sole job. That's as far as it gets. Full self-driving knows, it seems, that not only does it need to stay in the lane markers, but it needs to stay in this lane to get to your destination. So I think that's the big difference there. Could be wrong. Maybe some of you guys probably know more than I do. So it's sending me an alert here. A couple of years ago, they added this to the Tesla, which I've always found helpful, especially on road trips. Hey, you're getting too far from a charger. Either, would you like me to show you where the chargers are? Because either that or you're going to get stuck somewhere and not be able to make it, run out of range, basically. Range anxiety is real, I'll tell you that much. So always crosses over the double or the single white line there without fail, whether it's on autopilot or full self-driving. I'd be curious to see how it would react if a car was parked on the side there while that was occurring. You'd probably have to swerve pretty hard. So we're transitioning from the desert to the pines, my favorite. Temperatures dropped from 92 down to 78 so far. It'll probably be about 75 when I actually get to my house. So far so good. Here's a 45 mile per hour sign. It's going to completely ignore it. And we're going to stay at 60, it looks like. Interesting. So now I wonder, is it just built into the database where all the speed limit signs are, or is it actually reading the signs? So I read that one. We're slowing down to 45 now. Go ahead and keep it at 50 though. And here we are, we're entering beautiful Wrightwood, California. So again, we're going to go up to the country club, and what's going to make this last part of the drive unique once we get off Highway 2 here is the fact that the roads up here, most of them do not have lane markings at all. It's just paved, or you can call it a pavement. It's just asphalt. That's it. So the Tesla's going to have to figure out on its own how to drive down the asphalt, avoiding trash cans and other cars and people walking their dogs and any other kind of issues. And hopefully squirrels. Squirrels are stupid. They jump out in the road and kind of sit there, and if you don't stop, you will run them over. And that's definitely not something I ever want to do. So if one jumps out in front of us, we'll actually stop. I'll take over if I have to. Because they didn't stop for that piece of rubber down in northeast Lancaster. All right, so it's going to make a left turn here on Elm. There is traffic approaching. Another Tesla, in fact. Cool. There's somebody walking their dog now, but they crossed the road. So no markings. And this was one of the big things I was wondering about Tesla or full self-driving. How was it going to manage driving without lane markings? Because I was so used to autopilot. But as you can see, they've figured it out. They've really come a long way. It just stays on the right side here. It knows where the road is. It knows where the road isn't. There's a car. It stopped at a stop sign. There's a tree. Don't hit it. Oh, kind of shaved it a little close there, but we're still doing good. My heart rate's jumped up maybe about 10 more beats per minute. So we're almost there. I was hoping somebody would be trying to cross the street and it would stop or something, but I have seen Autopilot do that on its own. So no markings. This is just a piece of asphalt, you know, going everywhere. And it knows how to do this. It knows how to stay on the road and on the right side and avoid obstacles and such. And here's the country club. So we made it. It's going to slow down, and it's going to tell me navigation, or Autopilot navigation complete. So I assume it'll stop. We're going to find out, though, because I've never actually let it go this far. Yep. Looks like it's going to stop on its own. Cool. So I will turn Autopilot off. And that's the that's the commute, except I didn't go straight to my house. But final thoughts here before I end the video. I really am impressed. I do want to test this out down in Los Angeles and just drive around and see how it goes. I'll find some excuse to get down there before the trial ends. And based on what I see with that, I may make a decision. Even though I am on I wouldn't say a budget crunch, but I am kind of a lot more cognizant, especially with inflation and cost of living here in California, about what I'm doing with my money. So I'm investing more, I'm putting more in savings, I'm cutting out any and all kind of bills that don't need to be there, that I'm not using or not using enough of. So $100 a month is still kind of high, but given the amount of driving I do in the car, which is minimum 15 hours a week, that's excluding road trips and events that I go to out on the weekends. But given that fact, it could be justified, I think. But we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I'm going to end the video here. Let me know what you guys think. I've seen a lot of videos of people driving like in San Francisco and their cyber trucks and everything else, but let me know what you thought about the commute through the desert, or anything you noticed maybe that I didn't mention, or if you have any questions on it. We'll see if I actually pick it up and keep it, especially given, the driving I do, and also the fact that it's per month now. I don't think I would buy full self-driving on a 204,000 mile car. You wouldn't get as much value out of it for the lifespan of the car. But yeah, any questions or anything, let me know. I'm certainly impressed with it overall. We've really come a long way, and I can't wait to see where it goes next, honestly. I mean, when Elon Musk was talking robo-taxis, I was kind of rolling my eyes a little bit, and it's like, come on, dude. But I mean, I knew one day we'd have this technology, but we're really kind of almost there, sort of. I'll leave it at that. Like I said, I'm tired, but yeah, let me get home, let me get something to eat, and get this video uploaded for you guys. And thanks for hanging out. Making turns. I don't want to show you guys where I live, so I don't want anybody to come and visit from the internet. So by the way, we're not anywhere near close where I'm at, though. I still got to go drive back now. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope this, if you were on the fence about full self-driving, or you were just curious about it, or you wanted to see a different perspective of driving in rural areas as opposed to city and everything else, I hope it gave you, gave you some insight. It was fun to make this video, so yeah, we'll see you there. We'll see you on the next one, I guess.